Yeah.
So how's everybody doing? I didn't see you.
Great.
Yeah. So just ran downstairs, so we will have a guest tonight. But I have the banker downstairs, like he's gonna come up because he talked to you. Oh, yeah, from Dollar Bank. So so any update from it? Well, Nikki had a great one. Just the realization that she has come to about her business and how she wants to do it and what she's going to do. So you want to share that again so everybody can hear it?
I think for the letter which you my prayer meetings, it's not things that I don't want to personally, I just need to do the whole that the only I can really think that the engineering is probably the video for us to show that there's different recipes and stuff like that. So I guess it'd be like an economies for the rooms for the series. Because I think personally, yeah, we might have diversity as a time to structure that we can have to.
I usually go to the back. It's all right to sit up there. I showered yesterday. Yesterday. I shower once a week, whether I need it or not. So I'm glad you shared that, right? Because like I said at the beginning, there's two things that need to come out of this. One, you realize that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. We're going to move forward. Or you realize, hey, this might not be the right time because I didn't think about all these other things that go into that, right? And so before you put time, energy, and money into something that may not be the right thing for you because you did your research, or at least you thought enough about it, because most of us just jump into it and run with it, but weren't really prepared or didn't think a lot longer on some of the things. Now, you can't think of everything, but there are some things that start to come to you as you do your plan. Right. So again, like, okay, if this is going to be part-time, so how does that work? Right? Because that's just as good, because some people just need a few couple dollars to get over where they're at. Right? And it's better for you to understand, wait a minute, that's a lot of commitment before you go put money down on trying to lease the space and talk about building out and all the other stuff and not really know, right? Some things you're just not going to know until you get in there. But there are things that you can know that you can think about and kind of prepare for as you move forward in your business journey.
So you cannot tell me my main result for my business is to like the further session. Not having the rest of them do that.
No, matter of fact, you don't need a restaurant for that, right? That's more on the manufacturing side, right? So when most people think of a restaurant, you're thinking where people are at least coming in to receive food. If you just have a place where you're cooking, then that's not a restaurant, right? That's just a food service facility, or it can be considered manufacturing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's so much better, right? You ain't putting all the infrastructure, you didn't put in all that money, all you do is go rent it, clean it when you're done, and keep moving, right? There's not all of that responsibility of whether you cooking or not, you're still paying for that lease, right? So that is the better way to go starting out, is commercial, some type of commercial kitchen where you can just go rent out. Absolutely. But then again, even with that, you got to think about the longer term, because if you're looking at, okay, we're going to manufacture processed food for later consumption, then how do you freeze that? How do you do all these different things?
Stuff was, policy, the same, just really like, when it's easy.
But that's not the right type of freezing, right? We're talking about flash freezing, right? Which is a whole different process, because with flash freezing, you're capturing everything in a moment in time. It's not a process that it has to cool down and all of these different things, right? So that's something you may want to look at if that's the route you're going, is where is there a place? Well, how do you do frozen food, right? How do you manufacture frozen food? Would be a good one that you can throw in the chat GPS.
Okay.
You can take, yeah.
So I went on the west side, so it's pretty west. And they basically just ask for information. They don't even really shops, they just. We still keep it up with the television, the church, and they don't let you be teaching, you just have to basically, they don't rent out, they just test it. So you go to like a church.
Not all churches, by
Not
the way.
all of them, but some, but we did that, it's still, it's not to be able to control it. Actually, even if you tell you, most of them, they let you use just, they want to just say, you can give a they don't tell them what to do, so I try to make it reasonable, it gives them my way, I would possibly, you go around, just whenever I'm controlling from that catering, I just take out, you know, I take out that I would, give them to give me some top.
Anyone else have anything to share?
We finally got to scratch my brain. I just decided to do it as not have my own face and take no time to listen to it. And we mentioned it before that I'm going to be showcasing some of my designs at Christie's event. Yeah, higher tickets. So this will be like my official push back into my brand. It's called the Return to Normal. So it's like a return to normal. And we're just going to keep doing it. Learn a lot about it. So I'm looking to incorporate now and then the details of it. So
Cool. And just remember, we're here always, this don't have to be the end. You have questions, concerns, need some help thinking through some things. I'm always here to help and share with that. Anyone else have anything else to share?
Since we don't put together yesterday, a very detailed rough draft business plan. Along the some one of that, just to make sure that when I do pitch this year, that it makes sense, that's off the out of my head. And that I'm training my sister. I took 1 2 weeks half. And so I'm training my sister and my boyfriend to help out. She has a bachelor's in education, so I can push the STEM stuff over her. My boyfriend is in property management, so I need to upskill and incorporate. I always think business development, that's where I'm good at. But I wanted to make sure I had the business plan together, so that everyone understood the mission, so I'm not, it's just not my business, I'm sort of building the people that I need to help me out. Other than that, But it's just about the initiative that I want to put that in, kind of have a date for our meeting that will happen this week. We will have.
That's awesome. You can send me the rough draft too, right?
Okay.
You can- You know, it don't have to be done for me, just so I can see, and then, you know, hey, here are some things you might want to think about as you're going through that.
Okay.
Mhm. Anyone else? Money.
Okay, so the advice you gave us last week about we doing this for the project by the project,
Mhm.
is definitely increased interest. And so what I'm doing this week is working to finalize like all the artists that we have in the city. And I'm gonna break down the sponsorship package for the city, so I have to figure it out. Like until one week for all the people that are looking for sponsorships for the Charlotte and stuff like that. But I've already started reaching out to people in Pittsburgh, like, California, and maybe the community development fund. And it's been a better response since I've been doing it that way, so that piece of advice, maybe my husband, I went home and told him, this is what we're gonna say. He's like, why didn't you do that? I was like, "Yeah." But like just overall, the class has definitely helped me be more confident in stepping into my role and reaching out to people. I know they have seen that I was very confident the first time, which the girl was shaking in the boots. But it's actually like being able to allow me to reach out to people, have conversations with people, and be more upfront with people about like funding asks. And support of what that looks like for the organization. And so I've been getting better feedback from the thing that with each class, I take a new skill and apply it. And so it's different things to the different levels of spaces that I'm, so, yeah.
That's gonna make me cry. I'm all tearing up. But that's awesome. And again, that's, how did it go with the needs?
Yeah, so I have a meeting with their business advisor tomorrow, I think. And so they're interested in wanting to help with me funding, but, I talked to the needs, and so between the needs and development, because our business account is development, and then, some other like funding opportunities between the three of them next week, I should have a better idea of the money that will have come in the next couple of weeks. And so the needs has been phenomenal. So, yeah, between her, scholarships, and, yeah, so she's a good.
Awesome.
Yeah, she had one. No,
I
I
know
know
that.
the thing is, Denise is gonna ask me what you need. And I've been, I told Denise in our first meeting, I laid everything on her that I need to Denise, my biggest ask is, don't have y'all with the girls. And every meeting you walk away, she's like, no, don't do that, don't do this, do it this way. Or she'll connect me to somebody, so just start the week, make sure you have in your hand and talk to her. The items that you need regarding like what she does for the community development fund. And she'll give you everything she can within the ground to bring up. Yeah.
And the rounds outside of her job also,
Yeah, she can
right?
talk about her.
She, you know, she used to work at Key Bank.
Mhm.
And so she put together this whole program for women, Black women, for business, right? So, you know, she's very knowledgeable in that money realm, but she also worked with Bernard Alexander, and they were doing every Thursday over in Homewood, they would do a business plan where you can come in and ask questions, right? Not a business plan, but a business, so you can have the space to come in and ask several different people questions. Hers was more on the banking part, and Bernard was more about business plan and all of that. So she definitely has a wealth of knowledge in all of those. But what I would say to that is, it's not about what she asked her, because everything is going to be individualized, right? And so the main thing is that you know what you want, right? Because then if you come in really understanding what you want and can ask me, at least explain what you're doing, then it's a lot easier for a person like you or her, whoever, to say, okay, here's where you may want to look. A lot of times when people come in with their business, it's just like all over the place. And so, and I understand that, so it's not a negative, but then it makes it a lot harder for me to kind of gear my type of help because I don't know exactly where you're at or where you're going, right? So a part of this is if you understand now what your business is and you can talk about it and explain it and also say, and here's what I need, right? And not being scared to say, here's what I need. I don't care if it's $1 billion. This is the need. Now, either you can help me or you can't. It's all right if you can. But a lot of times I can say, oh, okay, $1 billion is no problem. Go here, go here, go here, and kind of put that thing together. Right? So it's a lot easier that way. Like if you needed some, okay, I really just don't know this financial thing. Okay, here's an organization that specializes in that and helps businesses do it. Right? If you just come in and say you need money and think the grant or whatever is just going to be cash, a lot of times it's not. And if you come and say, I just need business to start, money to start my business, that means nothing to most people. Grants are very specific. There is no grant that I know of just to help a person start their business. But there is some for, if you need some financial help, if you need some help with this, that, or the other, then it's kind of, okay, I can guide you towards that. So that's from your part, what you need to bring to the table. And we know that you're not going to have all of that, especially if you're just starting a business, right? And that's okay. You don't need to have it all, but you need to be able to explain to me, here's what my business is. Here's what I need help with. Here's what I'm going, right? So it's more or less, if you walk in there and say, yeah, here's my business. I deal with AI, I deal with this, this, and this. Here's my target market. I'm bringing this to the table. I need help structuring this to bring this, and this to fruition. Okay, I can really work with you with that. But most don't, right? And that's because we've never been taught those things. We've never had a clue on how to do it. But that's all of us, right? You know, me 30 years ago when I first started my first business, I didn't even know none of this stuff. Right? Just went in the bank, said I need some money. They decided to give me some out there, a lot of top. And I just went out there and did it. And I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, we lasted a long time because, and I wouldn't even say a long time, we were about 4 years out here that we had one on the north side. Just playing grit, because we just didn't know what we were doing. You know, rob Peter to pay Paul to keep it going. That was it. So any other shares? Questions, concerns?
So would be, so would be for me to receive funding for the training? Because it's been.
For which part? You don't see it like 12 different things.
Well, for either or the training, like.
So which one are you going to do? Like, it's not which one can be.
Well, my absolutely that's what they do, but initially we could do things like everybody.
Okay, so then my question would be, what do you need funding for? So now first when I heard you, and maybe I'm wrong, you said you were doing it digital.
Yeah, I want to do digital, one office, digital.
So what I would suggest is do it digital first, get a big following, because it takes a lot to, like, which this class, the business class? Okay. Say again? Operations. Okay, well, come on in. Yeah. So if I would go with digital first, right? Do digital, get a following, because the cost it takes to build a book, to bind it and all of that stuff is enormous, right? But if you already have a following, so the way I would look at it, right? Because I don't know the book industry, I would be more or less, okay, I've sold this many books, digital books on Amazon. I would like to take it to public. You go to a bank and say, look, here's what I've already got. I understand that if I do this many books, I could probably sell this many. and they'll probably give you a loan because that's like a loan. It's almost like you just need working capital, right, to get the bulk up and out, right? And then it's like, okay, if we get this many and I can sell this many, then I can pay that loan back,
Okay.
right? That's the way I would look at it. And build up that following on the digital one. And then you might not have to do a physical one.
Okay.
You can add something, Crystal?
I want to ask, do you have contact names for the? Or I think you just call them and say, hey, we're.
Yeah, make it rain. Yes. Yes, I have numbers for those. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions? All right, cool. So this week we're going to be doing operations. And just everybody remember, you got to send me your numbers for the people who are coming to the graduation, so that we can make sure I get enough stuff, right? So this week we're going to provide an overview of key items to complete before starting a business, learn operational items that can make a business successful and avoid pitfalls, gain a better understanding of key items like partnerships, legal forms, business, and tax requirements to prepare for a successful launch. So we've talked about everything else, right? Now we're coming down to the stuff that nobody likes, right? The business of being in business. So, bless you. So we talk about finalizing the plan, right? And the certain thing that we've always had throughout is desirability, viability, and feasibility, right? Can I do this? Is it worth my time and energy? And as we heard from a couple of people in the last couple of weeks, when you really sit down and think about it, you got to really ask yourself, do I have enough time, energy, and effort to do it the way I thought I wanted to do to make the money that I want to make, right? Now that I'm deciding to take it to another level. So when we talk about is due diligence, right? Verifying and validating the business plan. And again, the business plan in actuality is only for you to understand where you're going and to ask those questions by writing them down, right? As you research, questions come up, right? You're starting to think of, okay, wait a minute, I didn't know this part when it comes to the money part. And so when I look at what I got to do with the money part, we realize, wait a minute, in order for me to really make a profit, I might not be able to sell that many things, right? Or I might not be able to make that many things in the amount of time that I would need to do it to make a serious profit. By the way, how did it go with them 2 bags? Yeah? So we got them out, people are happy? You're happy too? Yeah, I know, man. Something about when you put $1 in your pocket, somebody else's pocket. So it's all about verifying and validating, like, do the numbers work for the amount of time and energy that I got to put into it? So every step of the way you're asking yourself, is the plan feasible? Is it viable? Is it desirable? Right? Is there a market out there for this? It's because I like it, don't mean everybody else likes it. So is there a market for it? Right? If the sun stops shining, you know, the business cannot grow. So the business problems, right? We got to ask ourselves, the problems that come up, are they really problems or are they opportunities? And this comes back to what we started out at the beginning, right? It's just mindset. We all got to go through what we got to go through in business. When we're starting a business, when we're growing a business, we got to go through what we got to go through. We got to go through the challenges because we're exercising a new muscle, right? And if that's the case, how are we looking at things when they come up? Because every so-called crisis is probably an opportunity. If we think about just 4 years ago, during COVID, how many people had to transition? How many people were going through crises that today is now an opportunity, that they were able to grow, that they were able to sustain. Some people grow because some people died, not died, but their business died, right? That's all a part of it. Oh, everybody wants to- Crystal. Y'all make sure that, don't forget to sign in before you leave. So when we look at it, right, and again, it's a mental thing. Is it a problem or is it a crisis or is it an opportunity? Yeah, when we're going through it, most of the time it's a crisis, right? But at what time do we sit back and we have to take the time to say, okay, now let me evaluate what just happened and what good can we get from that, right? And again, all those people who went through COVID and they're still good today, or that they closed their business, that they realized, some of them realized they just didn't want to be in business anyway. Some of them were a lot older and they just had to close their business. So there, all these different opportunities that came out of that. So go to the source, right? When in doubt, always go to the source of information. And what this is talking about is, you know, when you have a problem, let's say with the IRS, don't listen to the guy at the water cooler, right? The one that texts about, you know, he's one of the best tax people in the world because he did his own taxes, right? And we talked about how people that do their own taxes miss a lot of money sometimes, right? So whatever the challenge is, you just have to know, let me go find the expert in this field and get the real, you know, the real deal on it. And then use the IRS because those laws change every year, right? Rich people is always making up another way to take another dollar out of our pocket or not to pay taxes. Now, am I mad at that? Absolutely not. Because when all of y'all contribute to my retirement fund, right? I am going to be looking at what taxes that I can make sure I keep all the money in my pocket. If you look at Donald Trump was like, look, why are you mad at me? I only use the laws that are there. If you don't want me to pay less than the secretary, then change the laws. But they're not going to change the laws because the laws were made for business people. What we got to learn how to do and understand is we need to find someone who understands the laws like the people that Donald Trump have so that we can maximize our dollar. And what that means is you take me as an independent contractor, right? 1099, I'm making $100,000 doing that or whatever, right? The same person that's doing the same exact job, that's a W-2, as an example, they may make $100,000, but after taxes make 65,000. So they pay 35,000 in taxes. Me as a business owner and can write stuff off, right? Now I'm making $100,000 doing the same job this person is doing, but I'm able to keep 80,000 because I was able to write stuff off, use the taxes, and that's what the game is. It's not exactly about the job of being a business owner, it's about the tax benefits you get from being a business owner. So remember, all of you are in business now. When they say business, it doesn't mean you have to be making money. You have 3 years before you have to make a profit to be able to use the tax code to take deductions. That don't mean you have to change your business. That's just for the tax code, because after 3 years, they consider it a hobby. Right? But now let's say year 5, you really figure this thing out, same business and everything else. Now you can go back and using the taxes because now you're making money with it. It's just that you cannot go over 3 years using the tax code if you haven't had a problem. Because then that means you can just keep doing it forever and still getting the benefits of being a business. Like I told you, my friend, he started a new network company every 3 years. That means he can keep using those tax codes because it was a new business. It wasn't the same business. I love that man for that because I still use it today too. So now, I am not a tax person. I am not an accountant. So I don't know all of this. Usually I will have someone come in and do this, and this is outside of this, because it takes some time to really begin to understand the forms of business. They say business structure, right? What I do know is every one of those, there's 2 things that we're really looking at when we go into business. It's liability and taxes, right? Liability is if something happens, do I have to pay? Right? As a sole proprietor, you get hit with the most taxes, and you also have the liability all on you. So everyone today is in business because you don't have to have an LLC, you don't have to have a partnership, you don't have to be a corporation. You could be a sole proprietor, which means you're just using your social security number. Still get all the same benefits, you just don't have the structure to protect you if something was to go wrong, right? So if something was to happen, someone was to slip and fall at your business, and you're a sole proprietor, that comes out of your pocket. If you're under an LLC or a corporation, that comes from the business. Usually when we first started, it's both of the same anyway, right? So it's just making sure you understand those when you go in. A lot of people use a limited liability corporation because it's easier to set up than a C corp. C corp, they have what they call double taxation, right? Double taxation means I'm gonna tax you on your profit, and then when you distribute the money to your shareholders, I'm going to tax them also. So that's why a lot of people don't do C corps, and it's a lot more paperwork, especially if you're a small business. Now, when you get to be a major, you know, they got the money to figure all that out and protect and still swindle whatever they need to swindle. Most of us don't have that. So they're giving you, as a limited liability corporation, they're giving you the benefits of a corporation, but they're also giving you the benefits of a partnership, right? Which means you can have a number of people come into your LLC, which is like a partnership. And some of them are limited to only what they put in. And then the corporation that's the tax structure. And again, I don't know how all that stuff works. I just know that people said do an LLC, and that's what I did, right? And that was the tax lady. But that's how you got to get in and kind of figure that out. So partnerships. And I tell everybody, man, this is like, here's to you and here's to me. And if we disagree, here's to me. Like in a partnership, I don't care if it's with your wife, brother, sister, mother, get a contract for the partnership. So that if it does go bad, at least there's something written on how this is going to be separated. Friendships, marriage, all of them have been. See, here's the thing. When we go into business together and we both broke, it's all good. But once that money starts flowing, it's something just happens. Right? You just start seeing sides of people that you wasn't ready to see. I'm just being honest, right? That's why, when most people, that's why everyone tells you, get a contract when you're going into a partnership. You know, best friends will go in there and do that, and then, you know, well, I thought you were gonna do this, but I thought you were gonna do that, or you're not putting in as much as I'm putting in. There's all kind of personal things that may or may not be true. But a partnership contract, well, at least if this thing does need to dissolve, here's how it's gonna go. And we've already done it by law. And again, I don't care who it is. Get a contract. Because if not, you know, it's gonna be bad enough anyway, but it's worse when you gotta try to figure out who gets what, right? So assume name. And one of the things we talk about even in marketing, to have that branding, and you know, this wasn't as prominent back in the 80s and 90s, but today it is very prominent. If you're gonna get a business thing and you have a certain one in mind, the first thing you need to do is go see if that URL, that web address is available, right? Doesn't mean you have to, but if you're gonna keep the uniform of your business, it's best to go find out if that's available. Like a lot of times, I was working with this private equity company, and the first thing he was like, go see if it's available on Facebook, if it's available on LinkedIn, if it's available on Instagram, if it's available as a web address. Right? Go see all three, all the way you think you're gonna advertise to make sure that that name is gonna be available. Right? Sometimes you gotta be a little more creative, or you gotta step back and say, you may need to change it to something else, because that's how you market, that's how you advertise, that's how you get it out. And hopefully it's something very easy to remember. Because you want people to be able to hear it and just go right to the web address and get it. And make sure it's not registered in the state, right? So all these things you need to do before you actually, you know, make this your name, is make sure it's available. Because sometimes there's money that goes along with all that. You know, since you're paying money, you can't get everything that you want out of it. And we talked about this before, right? Make sure it's clear, conveys what you do, and simplify for customers as much as possible. So we talked about intellectual properties, trademarks, patents, copyrights. Somebody's going through trademarks. How's that process? Did you talk to them yet?
How, I forget what the A that it's just basically like, remaining or whatever it is that it's whatever it is that it's so now, and the process went very well. I think one part that I read was the distinctiveness part, that's the starting my labor codes, the second part of it spells and he was just advising me that I should brainstorm if I want to use that as my own, but being like, you could Google other things that have that same format as or however the name itself or what one told me like moving that way as far as something like so the trademark and the logo are two different things. So outside of that, it's still pretty good. They're doing social media on it from the brand and several lawyers who will help with the process of checking them for this. I should go out and send them.
So, yes.
So you said that a little bit of did you have to pay separate?
Yeah, that's what he was telling me that I want to do two steps.
It is like I didn't without going to that
yeah,
you know, kind of like I got a name in the actual logo, so it's like
yeah. And that's what he was telling me, like, so that maybe it's clear possible to put it in the actual, description of what the trade stuff is, like, colors, and the colors. You could put that in there, you know, we advise that, I did you can call it, for a level, I could staff, that's not.
So when you get to pick the team that's in the board results, will be able to do it.
It depends on which one you file, the tears, the same one, the ESTA, I can't remember that. You told me that's some service work that we are to register. So just based off of how you choose to file, that's when we release it. At that point, it was out of the release. Yeah, I can tell you.
Right, so, yeah, so there's the, Small Business Development Center. Over at Pitt is the, Institute for Entrepreneur Excellence. There's several here in the area. I just use them because I used to work with them, and I know a lot of the ones that are over there. Not all SBDCs have the trademark and all of that stuff, to help people with. So if you're looking for some further help with your business plan and trademark and all that, we can get the connection to the Small Business Development Center. Very good people over there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So home-based business, right? A lot of time, everybody thinks about home-based business, and it really can't, again, 2020 really brought that home for a lot of people too. A lot of people realize they can't work from home. I was one of them. Like, I can't be at home and be totally focused because I'm thinking about, man, dishes need to be washed, clothes need to be cleaned, all those little things that you say, I got this every extra couple minutes, and then it's a half an hour. Or the main problem I had was, when that lullaby started playing and the bed get calling me, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go over and get this 5 minutes. And it'd be 2-3 hours later. Like, and that happened, a lot. So again, but the thing about being at home, and as we talked about in the beginning with Mike, right, the mechanic, is you really have to be a lot more organized, right? And you have to understand the business cycle for your day, right? Or you'll be like Nikki, like, wait a minute, if my main cycle is at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, but then the kids come home, can I do it at home? Right? Because they're gonna want your attention. They don't care about little money making, nothing like that. They need their time, right? So that's what this is talking about, right? You gotta be organized, separate dedicated space, for your business activities. Phone line with professional voice message, that we don't have to worry about that much because most of us don't have landlines at home, right? Even if we get a phone, it's going to be usually a cell phone, even with a business number. Manage your time, again, be professional, offer quality customer experience, print and web materials, make sure you get the right image, find other client meeting space. Other tips to be successful. So I know that, through all of that, a big thing that came and had started really grown was co-working space, right? Where now you can go rent a desk for $30, $100, $200 a month. And usually they call it hot desk. That just means you don't have a dedicated desk, whatever desk is open to take. You pay a little more if you want a dedicated desk. You have one, that's downtown now, with even more of a professional, Emerald City, which is a Black-owned co-op, co-working space downtown. So there's a lot of different opportunities now, other than just going to work and, sitting in Starbucks all day, which a lot of people did, right? So there's something to think about as you do your home-based business. It's like, can I really do it at home? Like, does it afford me the privacy, the time, you on the phone with $1 million client, you know, the dogs start barking and kids be flipping out cheetah, you know, that'd be crazy. So it's something to think about as you go through that. Taxes are every citizen's responsibility. Now, I believe that 100%. Taxes are everyone's responsibility. I also believe you need to pay as little as possible of the taxes, right? As Donald Trump does, right? And I keep bringing that up because he's the master of getting these taxes done. The opportunity, the things are there, we might as well use them. I continue to tell people, you know, I'm a Democrat now, but as soon as I make $1 million, I'm going Republican. I'm fighting for every gas darn tax law there is. Because that's what helps us win, right? That's what helps us maximize our dollar. If not that, then we might as well continue to be employees because it's hard being an entrepreneur. It's hard owning your own business. Like those days that you really out there, you're like, man, I got that big job. I was making some good money. I here fighting for this and got to deal with people's problems and, you know, stuff ain't get there on time. I look at this business, there was a business up here called AI. It was a spinoff from CMU. They raised over $13 million. They were in the restaurant business, trying to help develop technology to make less mistakes. Right? So they had all these cameras and different things that would kind of show what was going on. So if the person is at, let's say Chipotle, but the server missed the guacamole, by the time before it got to the register, there would be a sensor to say, hey, you forgot the guacamole. $13 million out of business a day. So I was talking with the owner. I was like, well, you know, 13 million, like, what are you on the line for? He's like, thank you. Got venture capitalists that understand that they can lose their money. Like, that's like some come out of college where they're, you know, and they'll probably hire him again for something else if he does something else. If he did the right things, right? Because we understand that every business is not going to make it. The question is, did you do the right things to say, hey, here's what I've done? So this is for everybody. As you go through your business life, just be, you know, outside of your family and friends, just because your business failed, that's not a failure. You just learn what not to do. But if you can understand and explain it and say, all right, yeah, here's what happened. This, and this. The market shifted and we should have went this way, but we didn't, or the market shifted and we didn't know, we couldn't keep up with it. Somebody is willing to give you more money if they understand that you did the right thing at the right time, but it didn't work. Some of the times we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? Like Miss Nikki was saying, like, she was talking about how she had to shift her business model, right? But the last thing she said was, I had to get over not doing it, right? It's the mental things that we put on ourselves that cause us to sometimes go broke. Like we don't want nobody to know that we messed up and feel like a failure, all these different things. I'm telling you. And I didn't give you my three, did I give you my 3 C's and 3 F's at the beginning? I gave you the 3 C's. Constant course correction. So I had to give you the 3 F's. Fail forward fast, right? This is where you're allowed to make mistakes. Like, because you got to go through them. Some of them you're not going to make it through like you think, but did you learn from it? Right? So, you know, starting your business now is the best thing you can do because you got to go through what you got to go through anyway. You know, since waiting another year, that means you waited a year, but you still got to go through a year of what you got to learn. Like it just you can't skip it. So, get back to these taxes. Yeah, pay your taxes, but you know, find someone who understands taxes so you pay the least that you have to. And just remember when you're getting your business up and running, right, you get your tax ID number, your EIN, your state work, and again, you might not get all of these. But it's just letting you know that you need to, find out what taxes you need to pay for your local. Like here in Wilkinsburg, there's a business privilege tax. Like, that's why you have to know those things, right? But everyone, I don't care if you're a sole proprietor or not, needs an EIN, yes. No, no. They might have changed, so I haven't been over there in a while, so you could ask. So if you're asking to say have someone that you could pay to help with taxes, probably so. Yeah, they got lawyers, you know, I mean, and when I say they got lawyers, these are people who have been vetted by them that know the SDDC and what they're doing. So they're not gonna, they might not charge you as much, but they're gonna, even if they charge you the regular price, you know, they're quality businesses, right? But everyone needs an EIN, even if you're a sole proprietor. The reason why that is as you move throughout your business, like let's say you were to get a independent contractor that you pay. There's an employer ID number that's on every paycheck. If you don't have an EIN, that means you're putting your social security up there. An EIN and social security is the same thing, both of them are 9 digits. Right? If you're going to a vendor and you want to get credit with that vendor or whatever, they're going to ask you for your EIN when you go to the bank. Matter of fact, you can't even get a business banking account without an EIN. Because they don't want your social security number. They want you to have a business ID. So make sure you get an EIN, because if not, you got to put your social security number on it. And it just hurts me sometimes. Like I looked at a lot of taxes for business, people that are selling their businesses, and they send me over their taxes, social security number, like them and their wives. I'm like, oh, and I'm not the only one looking at it, right? But it is what it is. You know, the brokers probably should have told them not to do that. Tax identification number, we just talked about that. Very easy to get. You just go to the IRS.gov, fill out the information, and you got an EIN. It's not very hard. Now, state tax and all those other ones, you just got to look it up. Usually they have a way for you to do it online. These are 5 principal taxes that, you know, usually people have: business income tax, self-employment tax, employment taxes, sales and use tax, excise tax, like all these different things. You and your business, right? You can do a 1040EZ. Your business does what's called a Schedule C, which is itemizing everything in your business. This is where the whole tax piece comes. And there's all these different deductions you take, but all that stuff goes kind of in there. It also does a profit and loss statement, so that you can see it. And if we get some time, I'll show you one. We didn't get to do it last week, but a profit and loss and cash flow statement. One of the things I'm about to start doing is, after the next class and even before that, I probably won't be doing this class anymore. I'm really focused on now doing an entrepreneur and training. Meaning there's all these businesses, again, that's about to transfer. And I'd rather see people go in there and get a well-established, ongoing business starting from the beginning. Right? Something that already has the market, it has sort of a system, it has cash flow where you can walk away from your job because there's money there. Right? Your only job is going to be to grow the business. And we have professionals that are around you to help grow in classes and workshops to say, hey, look, here's what we need to think about now. Like, you don't need to be thinking some of the stuff we need to start a business. Because there's a lot of businesses that are going to transfer in the next 20 years. All these baby boomers are getting out of the market, and they're leaving behind very, very, very good businesses. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was like, he shut his business. Matter of fact, the other day, and I said, he's in life insurance. I said, well, what are you gonna do with your business? He said, "I'm just gonna shut it down or give it to my wife." Now, his wife is overseas. She's not gonna get a license after a year to keep that going. I'm like, why don't you sell it? Like, people haven't put succession plans in place and all these different other things, so there's gonna be a massive transfer of business. So if you have a business idea, it would be good to look at buying a business. Most of the business people out there who are serious in business buy businesses, they don't start it. That's why I'm changing my whole thought process. Like, if you have something that you do, there's a business out there that could probably support it that already has the market. Right? Catering business, event design, interior design. Yours is a nonprofit, so we'll get to that. So let's think about that. Like, there's all these commercial companies, long haul and everything else that are ready to sell their business. See them all the time. Like, and so instead of starting it and you got to go fight to get into the market and prove yourself, go get a business that's already there. The main part we got to get around is we're not going there to work a business. Right? We're not going in there to be the baker, the candlestick maker. We're going in because we have a strategic mindset to grow a business. That's sometimes where we got to get out of that employee mindset and get into a business mindset. Because usually what happens is when we start our own business, we never really grow. Mainly because some think they can do it the best and never let anyone else do it for them, especially when it comes to cooking. I ain't saying no names. So think about the whole thing, you know, again, it's all about the taxes, so make sure you're doing the right one. Licenses and permits, you know, you just got to understand your particular business and whether you need licenses or permits, you know, especially when you're talking about food, you know, health and safety and all of that. Those are some of the first ones. But then if you're selling tobacco, you got to get one. If you're doing alcohol, there's a license and permit, like all these different things. Your manufacturing, there's certain things you got to do. You know, when you really get up to scaling to making the clothes that you want to make in bulk, even though they're one of a kind, there's probably something license or something up there. And zoning is a big thing too. So I will tell you, if you're going to rent, lease, or whatever, make sure you go to wherever you're at, they got a zoning department. Make sure you go there and ask them, is your building, your storefront zone? The building owner may or may not know what the building or area is zoned for, right? So you got to make sure you go and find out if it's zoned, because if you sign that lease and it's not zoned for that, or you got to do a whole lot of alterations to get it to where it's the occupancy permit that you didn't think you had to do. And again, the building owner may or may not know, but it's your money going on it. You need to know. So you need to go to the zoning and say, here's what I'm getting ready to rent, lease, or whatever. I need you to come and let me know, one, is a zone for what I want to do, and two, to get the occupancy pick, what needs to happen. So that that owner knows, hey, either I'm going to do it or I'm not. And if they're not going to do it and you don't feel that you should do it, then you just need to find a new place. Right?
So how about house there, go about a house, like a daycare or something, anything. Going down to the Turtle Creek, it's absolutely not in there. So now, I have a house and that's live there, but we cannot put this in because of parking. If I want to do a home care center, Turtle Creek is not the place, unless you have off-street parking.
Well, not just Turtle Creek, that's most places, right? Now, people have done it and got away with it. See, it doesn't make a difference until you get caught. And what I mean by get caught, it's not really getting caught, it's like somebody complains, right? You got all these cars up there now, you know, when I come home, I'm tired, I can't find my parking space. that's when it happens. Right? So now, and again, a lot of places is not zoned for a home-based business of no kind. Yeah. So sometimes you can get a variance, sometimes you can't, depends on where you're at, right? And again, that's why you have to know, and that's a perfect example. You know, we don't never think about that. Let's just open up a daycare. No big deal. And then you get it, you spend all that money, and then you realize, oh, well. And then you try to shift, and it still don't work.
I would never thought about it. He supposed to find out about the house, but I was like, oh, you're an expert. That was my house, I was a month with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
What did you start? No, I wanted to move out of this, so I would have a small house in the mortgage and, that was that house. Put a business in it. That was my. Okay. So when he suggested I go down and I asked about it, I didn't think I would have to add about zoning.
My own house.
So that because of the and it's because of the streets and so people fight over the stuff as is. So they would definitely find.
So think about this. Think about, okay, now you got the house, right? Think about if you didn't go down there and spend all that money to redo the house to get it in the occupancy to do with the kids, right? So now you'd have been double out, right? Because you did all of that, and that's what we had talked about before, right? You gotta understand the zoning, because when you're going into certain places, it's zoned for different things. And if you can't get in there, people say, yeah, this is the thing, we can just put whatever. No, if it ain't zoned for that, or you go in there and it's a storefront, but it was zoned for office space and not retail. Right? So when the code department comes in and with this thing, this was zoned for office. You can't just change it out. Even though it looks, and again, sometimes the building owners don't know that. That's why it's up to you. And again, they're not being nefarious. They were just like, the mayor, like, I'm just gonna do it. We're not even, I'm just gonna do it. I didn't even know I had to do something else. If they let you. Exactly. Because then that means you gotta go through a zoning board and all of this stuff. And if they say they don't want it, or they want this type of office to come in there, then that's what they're gonna do. There's always a chance for a variance, right? And it happens all the time, but the thing I'm saying is, you need to know that before you get in there, before you sign that lease. Go down and find out if this place can hold what you're talking about. The other thing is, especially somewhere out here in Wilkinsburg, I always tell people, go to code, take them with you, see what it's going to take to do the occupancy permit. Right? Because these buildings are old, and what was in there before may have been grandfathered in, or whatever, and you go in there and once they walk in, because they're going to go in and do all these different inspections, they say, well, no, we can't do that because you got knob and tube, or this is the wrong thing. And then the owner don't want to, or don't have the money to fix it up, then you're still out. Still can't open a business. I see it all the time. So here it goes, right? Zoning, home-based business, parking and signage, right? And pollution control, right? Like all these things that we got to think about, especially if if you're really doing your business, let's say the food business, and a lot of people do from home, but they don't think about, if I really ramp this up, I'm going to have this much more food. Now it's going to do this with the critters, because I got a lot more stuff we would never think about until it happens, right? Not that anyone's being nefarious, It's just now you got 3 times as much food sitting out there in your garbage can than you did before. So now the raccoons are coming and all these other things that we really didn't think about. And now the neighbors is getting mad because there's a raccoon problem, and that's when it started. Nobody's fault. It just, now people are complaining. So what do you do now? Now you done did all this stuff for your place, now you gotta stop. And you wasn't supposed to be doing it in your house anyway. So types of employment relations, like we talked about before, like this is one that I see a lot in the commercial cleaning space. Is the owner will bring people in as independent contractors, 1099. Now I've seen and heard where they didn't tell them that they were making an independent contractor, right? Because that's all back office stuff. A person coming in and doing a cleaning job, they just want a job, right? They're not really thinking about how I'm getting my money. They just know I'm just make sure I'm paid after during the week, right? What happened was one of the people got let go, slow time, whatever, fired or whatever. They went to get unemployment. When they went to get unemployment was like, we don't have you down for paying any employment taxes. No, you can't get unemployment. So the gentleman, what do you mean? Like, I've been working for this company for this long, I should be able to get unemployment. That's when the unemployment people went to check out the business. Found out all these people were independent contractors, right? The part about it is when you're an independent contractor, you're independent. That means you can't wear the people's logos because you're an independent contractor. You don't have set times. You know what I mean? Like you're independent. If you're working for a cleaning company, that's usually not the case. So now they go and check out the place, find out they got all these people and employers do it because they don't want to pay, excuse me, the taxes on it, the employment tax. So now the government said, you owe us all these back taxes for all these people that you have to pay the taxes. Exactly, exactly. Now, you can get away if there is a reasonable relationship, if everyone knows that they're independent contractor, right? But if you're an independent contractor, you need to be getting paid supplemented in a different way. That means, yes, I'm gonna pay all this stuff, but you're gonna give me a bonus at the end of the month that's gonna take up for the gas and all this other stuff that I had to pay out of my pocket. Or you be a true independent contractor, you just understand what you have to charge. That's why contractors make so much more money. Because they got to pay their own insurance, they got to pay their own gas, they got everything else they got to pay. You need to be compensated through the contract. But some want to be independent contractors because you get all the benefits of the taxes, right? And as a 1099, you are a business person. And there is different things. If you want to do independent contractor, you can just go on and say what it takes to be independent contractor, and we'll bring up everything as an employer you need to understand if you're going to do independent contracting. And don't forget the insurance. You know, we hate thinking about those things, but believe me, once you get hit with a lawsuit, you'll understand and appreciate and love the insurance people. There's all types of, depending on what you're doing, there's all types of insurance that you need to have. One of the things that partnerships usually do is get key person insurance. So they put insurance on each other. So that if one person goes down, especially if that's the main person, there's insurance there to keep the business continuing. Right? Now they're gonna have to find someone, they're gonna have to ramp up, they're gonna have to pay them, all these other things, like, that's for business continuity. Professional services, you are their customer, they work for you. They would be part of your business support team, get comfortable with the people you respect and trust. That's just saying that if you have an accountant, they work for you, you don't work for them. They need to do what you're asking them to do, not the way that they want to do it. Right? So that's what that's saying. So in the beginning, we talked about, like, as you build your team out, it's not always going to be the first person that you team up with that's going to be the right person. And be okay with saying, not that they're a bad person or they don't know their stuff, they're just not right for you. There's going to be certain people that are right for you that think in your way, that can go your way or whatever. If the other one doesn't, then that's okay, but we got to part. In banking, IRS require a separate checking account for business. Please make sure you get a separate checking account. You just want to do it for your own sanity. When you put them two monies together in the same account, somehow they get intermixed and mingled. And for some reason, you know, that extra money you had over there that was for to get the rest of the business stuff ain't there no more. Something happened with the kids or whatever, and like, I'll get it back next week. Don't work like that. Separate the money. Shop for the best rates. You know, now they have merchant accounts, PayPal, loans, term, line of credit, others. So when you think about loans, though, you want to think about a business loan, and what it means by term is like your mortgage, right? It's going to go out so many years. A line of credit is like a credit card. Pay it off, get it back, pay it off, whatever. It just keeps rotating. Some things you need to put in a loan, some things a line of credit. If you're going for a big major piece of equipment, you need to do it on a term loan because the payments are going to be much lower, and a lot of times the interest rate is lower, but you have a longer time to pay. Right? Line of credit is usually a higher interest rate, and they can call back a line of credit. So after 2 years, if the bank is low on money, they say we want our credit back. That means you have to pay it back sooner than you thought. Line of credit, really, you should have it for emergencies, working capital, right? Hey, I need this extra money to buy this particular thing, and I'll get it all back in 60 days, and I'll be able to pay off the line of credit. So that means, you know, you have it there sitting, and you don't always have to run to the bank to do some of the purchases you want to do. And record keeping. Yes. So record keeping, you can keep copying. You know, that's just about being organized. Because if you're not, it just costs more money. When you go to your accountant with a shoebox full of stuff, they charge them about an hour. Like if they gotta sit there and figure out all that stuff, you know, it's just gonna cost you more money. Yes. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a merchant account, right? So again, a lot of this is a lot older. PayPal is commonplace now, right? When these slides were made, PayPal wasn't, you know, they were just coming out. So most people didn't know about the PayPals, the Squares. That's why Square ended up, right? All these different things. You know, again, it's commonplace now, but it wasn't then. So we went through this before, right? Cash management, Buy, sell, collect, pay. Buy, sell, collect, pay. That's all we do. That's the essence of business. We buy inventory, hook it up, we sell it, account receivable, collect the money, then we pay, and then we buy more stuff. Suppliers. Inventory is a major cost. A good deal isn't a good deal if it uses all of your cash, right? Meaning you really got to be frugal with our money, and just because they say, you know, you can get an extra 20% of stuff for another couple $100, do we have the cash to buy it? Please share. Mhm.
So, yeah, I still don't know what inventory is, like. And trading is moving.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But,
absolutely.
But I thought about that, like, but even now, I still have a lot. But I did, like, that's why I also kind of related. So there's like, like 5 shirts. So, you know, I have to buy more fabric. But I know I'm gonna use that, but like that is something that is not, especially in fashion, because it's crazy, so people, you know, they like to like to, if they buy one shirt at one time, they're less likely to buy it again because there's some shit about it. Something like this.
Yeah, but so think about that, right? But that's just a business lesson. So there was this company I was working with, Barnes and Noble down in Philadelphia. I was working in their warehouse, and when I got there, like they had shipment coming in every day. So they had this stuff in there, like we were moving it back and forth, but this was old stuff. So the way that, you know, they look at it is, that's a whole lot of money sitting there. Glasses and mugs, you know, stuff. This was the University of Pennsylvania, right? So their alumni is very serious about different things. So what I suggested, and I think at the time, I was like, why don't y'all just sell this stuff, do some money, and whatever else is not going to do, you know, you need to get rid of it. And I don't mean throw it away, give it away. So that's what they did, but they made a lot of money on stuff that was just sitting there. So when I hear fabric sitting there, I'm thinking about how much money is still sitting there, right? So now how do we structure ourselves so that we can get this money off of these shelves and put it in our pockets, even if we have to do it at a deficit, because a small amount is better than no amount. And the fact that it's still taking up all this space, which is even more important. Right? So when we think about our businesses, especially if we have some type of product, that's kind of what you're thinking about. And you were right, like there's no reason to get 100 because they say they're on sale if I can't move these 5, right? Because it becomes more than just that. Now it becomes space. So now I can't even get no new product in because I can't do that with the old product. And that was what the problem we had down there. So we were just like, we need to just sell this, and they just sold it. Like we had a month fire sale, made a lot of money on stuff that we was moving back and forth every day. So yeah, you got to be creative, right? Like let's do something. And then some of the time, again, crisis opportunity. Some of the time you start doing that, then it kick off again. Like, oh, now we got a flurry of people want some more stuff, right? Which could have happened 6 months ago, but we've been playing around with it, moving it back and forth. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Always have more than one source. Consider the vendor's services as well as the price. They deliver on time, pay for freight, provide quality, resolve discrepancies, give you credit terms, keep their promises. So you're asking them the same way people are asking you, right? Are you trustworthy? Goals, functions, and policy, right? The owner sets the goal, sales and volume, customer service by employee. Does everybody know their functions, right? Define responsibility and job descriptions. I'm about to start reading this book called Systemology, right? And the whole premise is your franchises, people pay a lot of money for franchises, right? And what are they paying for? They're paying for the system. Like McDonald's don't got the best burgers. Fries, I would probably fight you over, but burgers and all that other stuff, no, but they got a system that a 16-year-old and an 89-year-old can go in there and work. 16-year-old is going through all these different things that's going on, and all they have to figure out is push this button, and this is what happened. They ain't even got to count the change no more. Right? Because you don't want the 89-year-old person who may be on the cash register trying to figure out how to count the change. Right? All you want them to do is hit a button, or it goes to the back. They give them change, slides out. And today you ain't got to do that. Because everywhere you go now, they do it by credit card. They don't want your money no more. Someplace you go, you can't even give them cash. Some of y'all might not be old enough, but I remember we used to get $250, go over to rent a car. You put down that down payment, you can get the car for a couple of days and roll around. You can't do that no more. You ain't got no credit card. Same way with a hotel room. You just had to have the deposit to put on it. You can't even do that no more. Everything is a credit card. So policies and procedures and operations manuals. So I was saying about the systemology book, it's just about looking at how do you make your business systemized. That's when you can walk away from your business. As we talked about at the beginning, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the cash flow quadrant, right? And so it's employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. He talks about how we all need to get to the right side where we're a business owner and investor. And his whole definition is that from a business, so if you're an employee, you know you're working for someone else, you're not getting the tax. If you're a self-employed, you are getting some tax benefit, but you just own a job, right? Business owner says there's systems in place, there's people in place that if I walk away today and come back in a year, my business is doubled. That's where we want to get our businesses to, is that you don't have to do the day-to-day working in the business is working for you. I got a couple more slides and then you'll be on. Yeah. So customer service, it is far easier and less expensive to keep a current customer than to find a new one, right? Meaning, if you get a customer, do all you can to keep that customer. Right? How can I better benefit this person? What else can I sell this person? Because that's somebody who's going to buy over time a lot of different things, but to go out and find a new one, it's going to cost you so much money. Time, energy, effort. They got to go into finding a new customer. So we need to be serious about our customer service. How are we treating our customers after they make the sale? Right? Remember, the customer wants you to care about them and show it. This includes your employees as well. That's why in the beginning we talked about, let me go back to this employees as well, right? You want to treat your employees very good, right? The customer is not always right. I will tell you that. The customer is not always right. Not when it comes to my employees who I know are doing the right thing, right? But you want to make sure Again, this is why I say superior customer service is a very low cost way and competitive advantage. One of the customer service is if you have their email, how do you continue to engage with them? Right? That's why it's so important to get their email address. You get their email, you get their card, right? Business cards is only useful to get other people's business cards because nobody's going to look at it. Nobody's gonna look at your business card. But you get their business card because it's your responsibility to follow up with them. All late. Technology, define technology needs and purposes, set a budget, you know, all the important things that we need. But the point is to set a budget, right? Stay within that budget as much as you can. And then get to a business dress rehearsal, right? You want to, if you're just opening and starting your business, you want to make sure you go through everything. So if I was starting a restaurant, or as I did when I first started my deli, right? The oven worked, I darn sure forgot to change. You know what, the hardest time in the restaurant is on the 1st and the 15th. Because everybody get paid and everybody's coming in with $20 bills. You got to make change. And I know this was old time before they had credit cards. When I did mine, it was 96. And every time we run out of quarters, you know what I mean? Because everyone's coming in with these $20 bills and now we got to make change. Part of that was my fault, right? You got to make sure that you're ready for that because you know your cycle, right? Once we got real good, we knew the cycle. And that's when we started, okay, yeah, we know how to go. The 29th, we want to load up on 1s and 5s and 10s. And my cook called in sick all the time. I can tell y'all some stories about that. So your next step, complete the operation plan checklist, review the business plan, and anything else you can think of as we continue on our way. So a summary, we talked about with name registration, legal forms of business, taxes, banking, customer service, website up, and all those different things. So, you still trying to get in? Any questions? Comments, concerns? But like I said, this is the business, these last two, nobody want to talk about that stuff. But that's why businesses don't make it. This is the essence. This is the business of being in business, right? That all that back stuff, and that's why we have to learn how to work on our business, not just in our business, right? Because if we're always working in our business, we never have time to work on it. And that's when all these different things fall by the wayside. I understand us being these sole proprietors, we're the only one in the business. So we got to do everything. I understand that. But now you know why most businesses don't succeed is because of all of that other stuff. Because we don't take time to do our taxes and we don't make time to put our receipts in right. We don't make time to reconcile at the end of the month. So it'll be easier to do at the end of the year. Right? So those are the things I want everyone to start thinking about. So I'll answer all of your questions if there's any more after this, but I want to introduce you all to this guy here is this phenomenal, right? Jason Jones from Dollar Bank has been through a couple of different banks, just because of his wealth of knowledge and his concern for the people, right? So here's another one who will really step way outside of the banking world to help you in your business. And again, my job is to bring people in here so now you have a certain relationship with them. It's not like walking in and not having no relationship. At least now you have a face and a name if you choose to work with Dollar Bank, right? But like I said before, there's so much more than just the banking world. He knows a lot about business. He knows a lot about different businesses. So as you walk in with your business and ideas, and you know how to talk about it, then he can say, oh, I can help you with this, or I can help you with that, or go talk to this person, a wealth of knowledge and resources. My man, Jason Jones.
Appreciate you. All right, good job. So you can do me a favor, actually, can you skip that last slide back up? There's some cool things that I want to point out, but Jason Jones, I do currently work for Dollar Bank. I also consult. So I work with nonprofits, mid to small size, sustainability, board development, strategic plans, all that good stuff. But to Gordon's point, typically in banking, people
Which
say,
one?
So people stay in their lane, right? And in kindergarten, I was poor what color and stay in their lanes. So with that said, I've been an entrepreneur, hair salon in Garfield, helped launch a clothing line that ultimately got on Black Ink Proof, called Born Rich, Kid Rich, and went through some trials and tribulations. Puffy's going through it now, but Puffy sent us a cease and desist. And so there's that Born Rich, actually Kid Rich, because him and Diamond D out of Atlanta had a clothing line called Rich Kids. And so we did not trademark the name. So Puffy said, you know, we felt great that we were big enough for Puffy to send us a cease and desist, but it still sucked that we had to rebrand everything and change the name of it. Also, again, worked on the banking side, worked for Bridgeway Capital as well. I was business education director, so help businesses with technical assistance. I also teach at CCAC. I also have 4 broke best friends or kids, you know, officially what I call them. But some of the things I guess I want to chat with you guys about is more important than, oh, I work for Dollar Bank, right? Yes, we do have a special credit program that that's for this program. But I think I need to connect you with combined. But also there's other programs in the city that we have, you know, some pretty quick capital you can get to for like 50K or less, right? But more importantly is understanding the relationship with banking. So sometimes people say, okay, I have been in the bank for 20 years. They know my kids are going off to college. They know my kids' name. A great relationship with the bank, right? And so I go get a loan and they told me that we got a great relationship, right? Well, the bank is looking at a relationship completely different. What you heard earlier was great customer service, right? Great relationships are you keep your money in the bank, right? You don't come every other Friday and pull out all your cash and we don't know what's going on. So that's how you build a relationship. You have, you know, credit cards with different products, right? That's what we're looking at for a relationship. The other piece of that is customer service. I'm gonna just rattle off some things. So 5 things you guys probably need to have within your inner base. You guys may have gone over this, so I just kind of actually teaching another class downstairs and ask support. Yes, support if I can pop up real quick. But 5 people you should have in your board of directors. One is a business banker, right, that you trust, and you don't marry the first person that you go on a date with, right? The first time, right? You're going to date some people and see what you like and what you dislike. It's the same thing. Most of us don't. Gordon got lucky, but most of us, you know, Citizens may work for you, Dollar may work for you, First Commonwealth may work for you, right? You got to work for what works for you because this is your baby. This is your, you know, you want somebody who's going to believe in you. When I say a relationship with a business banker, let's say y'all got a rich auntie, right? Millionaire. You need a small loan of 500K. You only hit auntie up on Christmas with a Christmas card. You think auntie's gonna give you that $500,000 loan? Nope. Same principle works in banking, right? You want to meet with your business banker quarterly, and you want to meet with them when you don't need money. Because it's easy to get money when you don't need it. When you needed it yesterday, it's difficult. Everybody dragged their feet, it's slow, or, you know, we needed to, all these things you didn't. So any other aspect of having that relationship is having that human side to it, right? So if, you know, I know Jameer, I know what's going on. Okay, cool. But if I don't know you walking and you say, hey, I need 500K, I'm like, I don't know you. right? But if I've met with you, I've seen your business progress, when I go talk to my underwriters, let's say they say no, I'm gonna go fight for it. I know the business, I know what's going on, I know what's happening here, right? But if I don't, I'm not sticking my neck on the line for that, right? So it's the same aspect. You wanna meet with them at least quarterly. You wanna meet with all these people quarterly. CPA, I don't know, like I said, I might be repeating some things, but a certified public accountant, they're gonna help you with the pricing, see where you are. We're gonna go in the business and, there's two things. One, I think, Gordon mentioned, but I just read a statistic, I think 96% of black-owned businesses don't hire anybody. Which means that there's growth attached to that, right? Like if you're not hiring anybody and we're all sole props, how can you pass that business down? How can you grow? How can you work on your business outside if you don't have like working inside, right? Sorry, that's me up. So you want to make sure that you have a CPA. It's going to help you with some of those things. The other thing that you want to have is a business attorney. Not your cousin that's an attorney, not your cousin that's going through law school, a business attorney. Here's why. It might be a little bit of money up front, but it'll save you some money in the back end, right? Here's why. If you had to have foot surgery today, would you go to your PCP to do the surgery? No. Same, why? Why wouldn't you do that? Because they know a little about a lot, right? That's typically how most attorneys are. But a business attorney knows if there's a change in tax codes and different things is going on, right? And they'll be able to update you on that. So you want to have the best surgeon working on you, right? The other two people are, and just my suggestion would be somebody who's a mentor who's been in your industry at least 5 to 10 years. What their purpose is, a good mentor is never going to give you the answer. You probably will be with more questions than you'll have answers, but they're going to help you with the potholes, right? Gordon told you about the deli, right? I can tell you about this. I can tell you this person's telling you because you want to have that on the table, even if it doesn't exactly fit what you have going on. You want to have it on the table so you know what could possibly happen. So you want to have somebody who's in the industry. You want to have the last person you want to be talking to is somebody who's a mentor who's not in the industry. Their purpose is going to be to ask you why. And the moment you say, well, that's just how the industry is, you've lost your competitive advantage, right? So I'll give you a quick story on hair salon. When I was younger, nothing for me to hang in these little all day. I didn't have any kids, I didn't have anything to do. My appointment could be at 1, I might not get my haircut till 4, right? But it was cool, shoot breeze, that's all good. Later on life happens, have kids, get a job, running around. My time is now money, right? So if my appointment's at 1, I don't even care if it's the best haircut in the world, unless I'm going to a gala or I'm going somewhere. I just need a haircut, right? So I need to get in, and I would take the B-level haircut if I can get in and get out the time I need, right? On the hair salon, but I don't have to go look at hair. However, I'm like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do, right? Because I understand the level of clientele I was bringing to the table, or we were bringing to the table. They thought how I thought, right? So with that said, I implemented the cheats and seats. The appointment's at 1, by 1:15, if you're not starting to be serviced, you're gonna get a percentage off of your bill. And guess whose money that's coming out of? I'm not, right? It's gonna be the stylist. And guess what happened, right? Before that, it was, oh, I never worked in the industry. Guess what started happening? Everybody scheduled accordingly, and we weren't afraid to be number 2. Because number 2 is convenient, right? You can go to Dream, you can go to Dana, you can go all these different places. You won't sit there all day, right? You just need to cut and, wash and set. I'll just go to my plan B for now. If I need to go to a big gala, cool, I'll go. But then once you see what that person can do, then your number 2 starts becoming number 1. We were in the red. We were in the black in 9 months after opening up. And major construction happened that they didn't tell us about on Penn Ave. Like right here, you see how the sidewalks come out and all that? They didn't tell us that. So we were in there for 2 months and then that happened and you could only walk on one side of the street and you had to go all the way down with a bunch of. So we still were in the black after 9 months of opening up, which is it's very difficult to do with a small business. So, again, all of these things are super, super important. I caught the tail end of it, but with that said, I serve on, SBGH, board, so there's some alternative capital, we have relationships at Bridgeway, we all talk. The other thing I want to tell you about is relationships. A lot of people might not know I know Gordon. But if you come to me, do some craziness, right? And then Gordon's like, hey, how do you feel about, hey, that person did some craziness, right? So you have to be mindful of your relationships, right? Bridgeway, like at my level, so I'm gonna tell you guys what I do, I guess. So community development, is what I do. First come over in competition with me, I'm not in competition with PNC, right? It's really collaborative in my space. So we talk a lot. We're all bankers, we all have, and so in that, again, you want to make sure that those relationships are on par, right? Because you want somebody to speak up in a room that you're not in positively. And so just, kind of make sure those relationships are there. So with that said, I know I kind of jumped in and said, well, I don't even know when this is done. I might have y'all over a little bit of time. Hope it's not too much, but any questions, concerns, ideas, anything that I can help support with? Again, to Gordon's point, I just want to see the community win. So it's less about dollar or affiliation or whatever. I mean, dollars are a thing. But it's less about affiliation. So if you have questions, reach out.
When it comes to requesting funding, whether it be through the bank or like a lot of credit or normal sponsorship, what are the best practices? Is it that we get the first year and just wanting to see what options are out there, whether it be
Okay, so those are all different types, right? So sponsorship, nothing annoys me more to be at somebody else's gala and like, hey, you're a dollar bank. Hey, listen, I need you to give me $50,000 because we got to save kids. And I hear that 5 times in the same day, right? And I don't know you, right? So build the relationship, sit down. Hey, can we go out and have coffee? Can we have tea? Can we go to lunch? If you're asking me for money, it's not necessary, but it's a good gesture. If you pay for the lunch, right? Because sometimes people think, well, you got the bank, and I do. I have a corporate card. I'll pay for it, but I'm going to remember the person who was like, even if I'm like, I got it, but the person who stepped up, so it's building that relationship. So far as a lot of credit, same kind of scenario. So you want to kind of, hey, sit down with your business banker. Let's talk about this. I'm looking for this reason, right? That you're going to want to make sure that your credit is in order. I have seen people get declined because they have parking tickets in the city of Pittsburgh. They will put you to collections for a $22 parking ticket. And I've had to have somebody go clean it up, show proof, and they're slow. So by that, you're holding yourself back from a closing by 3 weeks, a month, or whatever, because we're waiting on the city of Pittsburgh to prove that you paid this parking ticket. Then with the collections that you got, wasn't going to affect you, right? So make sure that your personal credit is in order, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, speak to it, right? Hey, it's not perfect, here's what happened. If it makes sense, community banks a lot of times will, okay, let's look through it. Larger banks sometimes are a little more black and white, but you have to understand what your needs are, what you're looking to do. So I don't know if that answers your question. So, what I would say is, Gordon has some connections, sure, right? You work with some.
Say something like that, with problem, person.
Yeah, Bridgeway.
They have a entrepreneurial program.
Yeah.
I don't know all that they have in here, but that was where I was.
How many people here are connected to Bernard Alexander? Okay, everybody in this room needs to go to, y'all need to go on Bernard's page or Facebook connect with, inbox him. He has a list of CPAs that, you know, you can connect with, you can reach out to and see who you feel more comfortable with. From a banking standpoint, I can't refer one person over another. That's not really a lot of business. But there's access to this. I don't know. Yeah, for a lot of dollars. He's the connecting king, and so, you know, I would connect with him. He actually is the executive director of the Homewood Community Engagement Center through the University of Pitt. But yeah, he's somebody good to know. We're an entrepreneur. Ship it. And not for free. No, yeah, if you have questions, just reach out to me. When you say mentor, though, what do you mean? I did. Okay. No, I said I have a consulting. I could, it depends, we gotta build a relationship. But I can connect you to people for sure, it kind of help you through, I did, not only, but you could, Jonas, okay, sorry, my phone is downstairs, so it's connected, I have a QR code. on my phone.
Interesting is that the good relationship is not usually a bad relationship.
So 5 people you should connect with every, so 2 of those were mentors in your industry, one's outside of the industry, a CPA. Yeah,
So.
5 people, yeah, you're good, 5 people. But again, I'm easily accessible, reach out, if you guys have questions along the way, reach out. I don't have a problem with connecting you to who, you know, is in my network. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for allowing me to crash the class. Appreciate that.
For any other comments, concerns, questions? I know this is our last class.
Send me the name.
Kid friendly, yeah. Yeah, whoever, you know, you wanna see, get your little certificate. Your big certificate. Yeah, you know, sometimes you see the words, you're like, wait, that didn't sound right. But yeah, so, you know, but again, I'm always accessible. Jason's accessible, Aaron's accessible, Salome is accessible, that's accessible, you know, anyone else that you think you might need, I can at least make a call to give that person a name or a reference or whatever. But as you see, Jason talked about pretty much everything we went over in the class, right? Build those relationships, have your team. It's not gonna be the first one, maybe not the second one, but this, you know, again, if they're not bad people, they're just not right for you. So you just gotta put your, you know, sit down and think about what you wanna do, how you wanna get there, who the people are gonna help you get there. Who or whom? I don't know. You know, I'm so ghetto, so I don't know which one. I just, cause there's ain't there like a commercial that is who and whom? Somebody's always saying who and whom, and I'm like, why do you say it that way? Yeah, probably. Yeah, so, but yeah, so, if there's other questions, done. I appreciate y'all. I think we had a good time. Did everybody learn something? So one thing you could do is shoot me an email of what you got out of this class, so I can keep my job. I will send that to the funders so that they know there was something, probably a lot of them will be there on the 25th. Cool. Nobody want to leave, huh? Hey, everybody make sure you sign out, sign anything out there. At the Hosanna House?
Yeah.
What was this?
I mean, this is, we did like a 75-year-old architect. He was telling me about it back, he showed me back in the day. So it's probably like 20 years ago.
I'm not sure, but when I first started doing this, I started at the Hosanna House.
Oh, really?
I was doing this class, but we didn't have this office. So I had to rent the Hosanna House because it's a bigger office. We just got here in 2019. We were up on Penn and Wood. That's why I was asking when, because that's where I first started. I started in 2015. I was doing it for this company,
Yeah.
but we rent.
You know what? And that one.
What's the person's name?
Tom, Shears. He says he works for a big firm, like PMC is one of the clients.
Tom Pierce. I don't remember that name. I'm not saying the name, but I just don't remember it.
You think it would be like, obviously I'd have to talk to like either a nonprofit lawyer or like a business lawyer, but you think it would be like, they would be opposed, like a business owner would be opposed to selling their business if they have to dissolve their entity? Because I would just be buying the assets that start operating underneath the nonprofit.
Say that again.
So I want to buy, like, I'm a trucker, like they're saying, if you have experience, we'll sell you the business. I mean, you know, we'll finance the business for you, last year.
Right.
So if I go in there and say, I'm a commercial driver, I've been doing this for a few years, and, I kind of know the business and I know the ins and outs. I want to acquire, a trucking company. And dissolve the entity that it's underneath, because it's a profitable company. I want to put it underneath the nonprofit, start operating it as.
One, you gotta get some lawyers, but I don't see how you put a profit under a nonprofit. But that's what you gotta figure out from them. But if you're doing that, right, then there's nothing wrong with that. Usually when you're getting a business, there's two ways to get a business: through assets, which you're talking about, or through stock. That means you're buying the business and everything that goes with the business. Meaning you're buying the names, you're buying the past problems, whatever, or past wins or whatever.
So you can buy the assets without buying.
That's the way most people do it.
Really?
Now, what they usually do is keep the name.
Yeah, I don't want them. That's what I don't want, is their legal entities. I just want the assets.
Why don't you want the name?
Well, I mean, you gotta do research on it, because first of all, it's going underneath the nonprofit. It's gonna be a.
Hey, why don't you want the name?
Well, there could be like charging orders against it, debt attached.
Once you buy the assets, everything else is still on that other business. Even if you have the name of that.
Oh,
company,
you're just taking the DBA. You're not taking.
You're taking the company, you're taking everything that there is in the company, you're taking the names, you're taking everything. You have to re-register it in yours, so it might be, if it was Johnson Hauling, right? You can still keep it Johnson Hauling, just make it Johnson Hauling Inc. Right? That means you kept the name, or you can put it under your nonprofit, but keep the name as a DBA.
So is that like?
The only reason why I say that is because if you get, and it's different in different places, right? So there's something you just have to think about. But in some businesses, if you get rid of the name, then people don't know how to get in touch with the business.
Well, so like, I looked into it a little bit, and then, so we kind of gotta change, like, we can't really do like a lot of marketing and stuff like that, like say like a corporate operation. Because they'll let you earn, like, all your income that you're gonna earn from that business is vocational training, right? That's our charitable purpose. So we can run any type of business we want to, as long as it's conducive to vocational training. And that's how we're gonna support ourselves as well, earning that income, and it feeds everyone.
You don't need to make them both together.
What's that?
Why would you make them both together? You don't need to make them both together.
What both?
The nonprofit in the for-profit, the trucking company.
Well, I just want the assets to go underneath the nonprofit.
Why?
So because that income that we're gonna be earning from those assets, like the trucks, we don't have to pay taxes on it. And we don't have to pay a sales tax on whatever,
You just going through a whole lot of trouble that I think is just crazy. But you need to figure out that with your lawyer. Like, that's something you and your lawyer would have to.
What do you mean that?
Because you're trying to do all these things for a profitable business, right? Okay, I understand you don't want to pay the taxes. But is it worth all the headache that you're gonna have to jump through? Because now you're putting a nonprofit when you got all this paperwork. And then you're gonna put a profit under that, and you're trying to flip these things to make it kind of work. And if it's under the nonprofit, is it gonna stop you from maximizing your growth on profit?
I think I see what you're talking about.
Right, like, that's what I don't understand, so that's my only.
So it's still profitable company, right? But we don't have overhead for labor because it's a vocational program. People don't get paid to go on the vocational program. They might get a stipend or something like for the vocational school. But
So other than the taxes, the two don't even have to come together. Other than the taxes, what you're talking about, the two don't have to come together. You have this company over here, and you can go get money to send those kids to the school and pay yourself. The truck is a school, right? The vocational school.
right, but it's a company as well.
Yes, it's a company, right? You don't have to put them two together. It's like you have this vocational training. You're hiring this company over here to take these kids through. Like, you don't even need a company. You could do it through the government, but you want a company. That's totally different. They're two totally different entities. So now you have to do your vocational, and you got a business over here that can funnel the kids through it.
Yeah,
And you can go get some nonprofit money for the vocational program that's gonna pay the trucking company.
yeah, no, we're working with the Alliance for Nonprofits up in Butler. They said they'll do a grant writing on a continued basis, so they get paid as soon as we get paid.
Yeah, so, yeah. I'm just saying you don't have to do it, but if the lawyer says that's the better way, then that's cool, but you don't have to have them two together to make what you're trying to do work.
I mean, the only reason I was doing it like that is so we didn't have to pay the taxes on it. And then
But like I said, you just have to figure out is that particular thing gonna stunt the growth of the business really growing? Right, because if they're only saying like the nonprofits, you can only make up so much. It doesn't mean you can't make no profit. You can only make up to so much profit. So, and if that business is under the nonprofit, does that make that a challenge for what you're trying to do?
I'm not trying to get any money out of it. So I want it just to be able to grow so we can get.
But if you're growing, somebody gotta make the money. Where's the money going?
Where's the money going into? Like, I want to get a 400,000 square foot facility. I want to have multiple businesses.
I get that, but that's gonna take you having multiple profits. The question is, how much profit can you make with the trucking company under the nonprofit? There might not be a problem. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying when I hear that, that's one of the things I would ask the lawyer. Because if it's gonna stunt you, then you don't need to have them together. You can, whatever you're making from that trucking company, you can put right back into your nonprofit. But now you don't have that thing over your head, if that's the case, saying you can only make this much money of profit.
I see what you're saying.
But I don't know that. So that's just something for me. If you were to ask me, I'm like, these are the questions you need to ask if you go in there.
Well, you said you were going into the business acquisition, so I was like.
Yeah, but
This
that's.
might be something you run into in the future, you know?
No,
So
because I'm not dealing with a nonprofit. Well, I'm not dealing with a nonprofit. My thing is if I'm buying businesses, okay, I'm on my way down. If I'm buying businesses, then I'm all profit. I told you I'm a capitalist.
Hey, me too. I want to make money, but I mean, it's just not. I want to do a social good one. Hey, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'll see you for graduation.
All right, Todd. Hey, how's your wife doing? Any day? Okay,
Yeah, I see you later, come to graduation.
cool, cool, yep.
It's April.